Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." The aura and that mysterious energy field surrounding every living being is not just spiritual folklore. It reflects the psychological, emotional, and unconscious depths of a person. Jung may never have used the word aura in the esoteric sense, but his exploration of the self, shadow, and individuation aligns perfectly with the idea that some people radiate an energy so potent, so charged with truth and depth, that others simply cannot bear it. This isn't about ego, it isn't about being better, it's about intensity, a spiritual gravity, a psychological force that disturbs the surface waters of everyday interactions. Let's now dive into these 13 powerful signs, not just to identify them, but to understand them, to explore what it truly means to be a carrier of rare energy, a soul vibrating too loudly for a quiet world. 1. Your energy fills every space you enter, even in silence. There's something about you that can't be ignored. You walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. Conversations pause, even briefly. Some people glance up, unsure why. Others become suddenly self-conscious. It's not your appearance, your voice, or your words. It's the field around you. Carl Jung understood this kind of impact. He believed that when someone is deeply integrated, when their unconscious and conscious minds are in harmony, they emit a rare type of coherence. This inner alignment resonates on an energetic level. Your aura doesn't request attention, it commands it. You don't chase presence, you embody it. That's why people notice you without understanding why. For many, it's inspiring. For others, it's intimidating. Most people are tuned to superficial frequencies, but your presence operates on a deeper channel, one that echoes ancient power, self-awareness, and wholeness. That's what makes your silence louder than most people's shouting. 2. You unintentionally trigger people's shadows. You may have noticed this. People become defensive around you without reason. They argue where there's no conflict, or they become overly agreeable, eager to impress, almost nervously so. This isn't your fault. It's your energy interacting with their unconscious. Jung's concept of the shadow is key here. The shadow is the repressed part of the psyche, the traits we deny, suppress, or hide. Your aura acts like a flashlight, not intentionally but naturally. It illuminates the parts of others they're not ready to see. When someone has unhealed wounds, unresolved guilt, or a false self-image, your presence can shake them. It's not about you. It's about what you represent. You reflect authenticity. You embody inner truth, and that threatens the illusion others live by. In your presence, the masks begin to slip. Their discomfort isn't personal, it's psychological. It's the shadow resisting the mirror. 3. People project onto you constantly. One of the most misunderstood forms of human interaction is projection. Jung described it as the process of unconsciously attributing your own thoughts, feelings, or motives to someone else. When your aura is powerful, you become a blank canvas for others. They see in you their hopes, fears, fantasies, and wounds. One person sees you as a savior, another as a threat, a third as an opportunity, and none of it may be true. This happens because your energy is so pronounced that it awakens psychological movement in others. They feel something, strong, deep, and instead of exploring it inwardly, they project it outwardly. You become the symbol, the story, the archetype. Sometimes you'll be praised for qualities you don't possess. Other times, blamed for feelings you never caused. This is the price of energetic presence, to be misunderstood, misread, and mythologized. 4. You gravitate towards solitude. It's not that you don't like people. You value connection when it's real, but shallow conversations drain you. Surface-level interactions leave you empty. Jung knew this well. He believed that individuation, becoming your full, authentic self, required separation from the crowd. Alone, you hear your soul, you process your dreams, you confront your truth. Solitude is not loneliness for you, it's alignment. It's where your energy recalibrates, Most people run from solitude because silence terrifies them. For you, silence is sacred. It's where transformation occurs. Your aura is dense. It absorbs everything. And so you retreat not to escape others, but to return to yourself. People may not understand it. They might call you distant, cold, or antisocial. But the truth is this: your solitude is the forge that sharpens your soul. It's what allows your presence to be so powerful when you do return. 5. You are highly introspective. Your mind is a labyrinth, and you explore it willingly. While others distract themselves with noise, you sit with your thoughts, even the uncomfortable ones. You don't fear the dark corners of your psyche, you examine them. Jung believed that only through introspection can we truly integrate the self. Your aura is strong because you faced yourself. You've encountered your inner child, your wounded parts, your illusions. And you didn't run. You ask, "Why am I this way?" and listen for the answer. This depth of self-awareness radiates outward. It creates an energetic density that others can feel, even if they don't understand it. Most people live in reaction. You live in reflection. You don't just feel emotions, you study them. You trace their roots. And that gives your presence a rare psychological gravity. When you speak, people pause, because they know your words are coming from somewhere real. 6. You see through people. Instantly, there's no fooling you. You pick up on micro-expressions, tone shifts, and energy changes. While someone smiles, you feel their sadness. When they say, "I'm fine," you hear everything they didn't say. Jung would attribute this to your deep connection with the unconscious. You're attuned to what lies beneath the surface. Your perception isn't just mental, it's energetic. You don't just hear what people say, you read them. This can be unsettling for others. They feel seen in a way they're not used to. Some are drawn to your insight, others run from it. Your ability to penetrate psychological masks isn't something you trained. It's something you became through inner work, and it gives your aura an edge. It's not about judgment, it's about clarity. You see people not as they appear, but as they are, and that's a rare and sometimes frightening gift. 7. You resist conformity. Conformity is comfortable. It offers belonging, approval, and ease. But for you, it feels like a cage. You question, you challenge, you break patterns. Jung taught that individuation means becoming distinct from the collective, not in arrogance, but in truth. Your aura is powerful because it doesn't bend to fit. You walk your own path, even when it's lonely. This nonconformity creates friction. People may accuse you of being difficult, rebellious, or arrogant, but you're not trying to oppose. You're trying to be. Your values are your compass. You don't seek validation. And that terrifies those who depend on external approval to define themselves. Your presence becomes a threat to groupthink because it represents freedom. And freedom, though admired in theory, is feared in reality. 8. Your gaze is penetrating and unnerving. There's something about your eyes that stops people in their tracks. You don't just look, you see, through layers, through facades, through emotional armor. When you meet someone's eyes, it's as if you're reading a chapter of their soul. Jung believed the eyes reveal unconscious material when met with full presence. Most people are not used to being seen without masks. They live filtered lives, curated expressions, guarded emotions, practiced charm. But your gaze slices through that. You notice the tremble in their voice, the hesitation behind their confidence, the pain hiding beneath humor, and they feel it. That's why some people break eye contact quickly. It's not rudeness, it's vulnerability, it's fear. Your gaze doesn't just perceive, it reflects. It acts as a mirror, showing people what they don't want to see but secretly need to confront. It's powerful, and often, too much. 9. You disrupt normal dynamics. Every social space has its rhythm, a subtle pecking order, unspoken rules, emotional scripts. But when you enter, those patterns shift. People act differently. Some become more alert, others more reserved. Some open up quickly, others distance themselves. Why? because your aura refuses to play small. Jung would call this the influence of an individuated soul, one who is not defined by the collective, but stands apart from it. You're not trying to fit in, you're trying to be true. And that truth disrupts things. It exposes what's fake. It challenges what's shallow. In groups, you naturally take on the role of the observer, the challenger, the mirror, or even the unspoken leader. Not by force, but by resonance. Your very presence changes the emotional chemistry of a room. It stirs something deeper, and people don't always know how to respond to that. So they either gravitate to you or retreat. 10. You constantly evolve, and that scares people. People crave consistency, not because it's healthy, but because it's predictable. When you grow, when you change, when you shed old versions of yourself, it unsettles those who stayed the same. Jung said individuation is a process, a becoming, and you are deeply committed to that becoming. You've let go of past identities, you've outgrown environments, you've questioned old beliefs, and that evolution radiates from your aura. People sense you're not who you were, and that's threatening, because your growth reflects their stagnation. It's a silent mirror. You don't need to say anything. Your very being confronts them. They miss the old you, not because you were better, but because you were more comfortable. But comfort was never your calling. You chose truth. You chose evolution. And that choice carries a frequency only the brave can handle. 11. You speak in symbols and depth. You rarely speak just to fill space. When you open your mouth, there's weight in your words. You might not use mystical language, but there's something archetypal in your voice. Jung taught that the unconscious speaks in symbols, in dreams, myths, metaphors. And somehow you've internalized that language. Even when you speak casually, your words linger. They carry echoes. They make people think or feel something ancient stir inside them. You have a poetic mind, a layered way of expressing thoughts. Others may not always understand it intellectually, but they feel its truth. You might say something simple, but the moment hangs in the air. That's because you're not just speaking, you're channeling. You've touched the deeper waters of the psyche, and your voice carries their vibration. To shallow ears, you sound different. To awakened ones, you sound familiar, like home. 12. You are magnetic. Yet exhausting for some people are drawn to you like moths to flame. They crave your presence. They tell you their life story after 10 minutes. They confess, reflect, or feel seen in ways they haven't before. But later, they might disappear or pull away. Why? Because your energy doesn't allow for half-truths. Being around you demands authenticity, and authenticity is work. It requires presence, vulnerability, and awareness. For people used to wearing masks, that's draining. It's not that you are too much, it's that truth is. Jung warned that waking up is painful. You don't just entertain people, you awaken them. And awakening is uncomfortable. That's why some are addicted to your presence, yet scared of it at the same time. You are both medicine and mirror, and not everyone is ready for the dose. 13. You are a mirror of truth. You don't preach. You don't judge. You simply exist in truth. And that alone is a revelation. Jung believed that the most powerful thing a person can do is become their authentic self. When you do that, you become a mirror. People see themselves in you, clearly, painfully, beautifully. Your aura reflects what is, not what people pretend to be. And for many, that is overwhelming. Some will thank you, some will avoid you, some will misunderstand you completely, but the effect remains. You don't need to try to be powerful. You simply are. Your integration, your healing, your growth, it shines. And in that shine, others find either inspiration or discomfort. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be true. And in a world addicted to illusion, truth is the most powerful and most disruptive energy there is. The true story of Elise, the woman with the silent aura. In a quiet mountain town in Switzerland in the 1960s, there lived a woman named Elise. She was not famous. She wasn't rich. She rarely spoke in groups. But everyone in the village knew who she was. Why? Because when Elise walked by, people felt something shift inside them. Her presence was still, but powerful. Her gaze was soft, but penetrating. She worked as a school librarian. Children adored her, but they couldn't explain why. Adults respected her, yet many felt uneasy around her. Not because she was cold, but because she seemed to see things. Without speaking, she understood people. Without judging, she awakened them. One day, a troubled teenager named Franz was caught vandalizing the school property. The principal wanted to expel him. His parents had given up on him, but Elise asked to speak with him, alone. What happened in that 45-minute meeting changed Franz's life. He later wrote in his memoir, "She didn't lecture me. She didn't even ask why I did it. She just sat there, looked at me and said, 'This isn't who you really are, is it?' I broke down in tears, because for the first time, someone saw through my anger, into my pain." Years later, Franz became a psychologist. He devoted his life to helping troubled youth, all because one woman's aura reflected a truth he had long buried. Elise passed away quietly in her sleep at the age of 68. At her funeral, people from all over came, many of them strangers whose lives she had quietly touched. There were no grand speeches, just silence and tears, in a sense that someone holy had walked among them. There are people in this world whose presence is louder than noise, deeper than words, and more awakening than advice. These are the souls who walk with power, not because they try, but because they are whole. And if you're one of them, you already know the burden and the beauty of that truth. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." So if your aura is too much, let it be. Be the mirror. Be the medicine. Be the soul that sees, even when others look away. Because in a world desperate for light, even one powerful aura can ignite 1,000 others.